Today we're going to review all forms of how to find slope. So our essential question is, how many representations are for slope? So first, let's see what slope is. We know slope is the steepness of a line and how y changes and how x changes. Okay. So first, let's talk about the four types of slopes. So I know if I have a line that goes from left to right and it goes up, I know that's going to be a positive slope. If I go down from left to right, it's going to be a negative slope. Okay. If I have a slope that's just a horizontal line, it can be here or maybe down here. Oops, that's not horizontal. There you go. Then it's going to be a zero slope, and you can write out 0 or just the number 0. And if I have a line that's just straight up and down, we know that's undefined. Okay, so let's see how we find a slope when we have a graph. So we know that for a graph we use the rise over run, and the rise is going to be how much it goes up and down, and the run is going to be how much it goes left and right. Okay, so a few things we have to remember: that if you go up or if you go right, your number is going to be positive, right? If you go down and you go left, your number is going to be negative. So let's do an example right here. We have a graph and a line through it, and we're going to find 2 points to find the slope. Any 2 points that have a perfect point. So I'm going to use this point and maybe this point too. Okay, it doesn't matter if I go from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom. It'll give us the same slope either way. Okay, so if I do my rise, if I go from this point to this point, I'm going to go up, right? So I'm going to go up 1, 2. So I have, for my rise over run, let me write it down. The amount that I went up was positive 2. Remember, I went up, so it's positive. So it's going to be a plus 2. And for my run, I went 1, 2, 3, 4. And I went to the right, and the right says if I go to the right, it's going to be a positive. If we went to the left, it would have been negative. So let's do a positive 4. And we can go ahead and put positive 4 on the run. Okay. Let's say I decided to do from the top to the bottom. Okay. So let's say I went from this point to this point. Right? Let's see what we have there. So let's say from this point we're going down 2. So since we go down, it's going to be negative. So negative 2. And we're going to the left 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And also, if we go left, it's going to be a negative. So it'll be a negative 2 over a negative 4. And if you see all those forms, positive 2 over positive 4, negative 2 over negative 4, they're all the same. They are reduced down to just 1 over 2. And if we try to use that slope, we can see that we go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. It's the same pattern all throughout. Okay. Let's see if we have a table and we want to find slope. So for the table, we usually use the change in y over the change of x, and we have that little triangle that is delta, and it means change. So for this table, let's see what the change in y and the change of x are. So for the change of x, so the change in from 0 to 1, we're adding 1. From 1 to 2, we're still adding 1, right? And then we're adding 1 all throughout. Okay. On the other side, from 4 to 8, we are adding 4, right? And that's where we get our delta y and delta x. Since this is on the y side, this plus 4 is going to be our delta y. And since this is on the x side, this will be our delta x. And if we write it as a fraction, the change in y over the change in x, we will have 4 over 1, which is the same as just 4. Okay. For the last version of how to find slope, it's going to be how to find slope with 2 points, and we do have a formula. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. And let's say we have a question that says this. Find the slope of a line that passes through point 1, -3, and 0, 4. So these are my points here, and I'm going to label them x1 and y1. So this 1 is going to be my x1, and my -3 is going to be my y1, because it's my first point, so that's why they have the little 1. My second point, 0, 4, is going to be my x2 and y2. And so if we put it into our formula, we have y2, which is negative or positive 4, minus y1, which is -3, so minus a -3, over x2, which is 0, minus x1, which is a 1. Okay. We do have this minus a negative, and when we have a minus a negative, we can go ahead and make those two a positive. So 4 plus 3 is going to be a 7, and 0 minus 1 is going to be a -1, which we can simplify to just a -7. Let's say you're not really good with formulas. I can simply get these 2 points and put them as a table. And if you're really good at tables, then it'll work out for you. So we do have our y and x and y. And our first point is 1, -3, and 0, 4. Right? All we have to do is just find the change of x and change of y, and we would still have our formula, or our slope. Let me do a difficult. So if we go from 1 to 0, we are subtracting 1, and from -3 to 4, we are adding 7. This is in my y column, so 7 is going to mean my delta y. This is on the x side, so this will be my delta x, my change of x. And if we write it as a fraction, our change in y over our change of x is equal to 7 over -1, which is -7. And you see here is going to give us the same answer. Okay, so it doesn't really matter how you find your slope. Just find one way that you really like and stick to that.